And hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again with another episode of my ongoing weekly segment, Valiant Till the Last, in which I read the entire Valiant comic universe one deluxe edition at a time. And in today's video, we'll be talking about the Armor Hunters event. Before we do that, we're going to look at this. This is today's deluxe edition, which I did not read for reasons that will become obvious in a moment. So this is Exo Manowar, Deluxe Edition 3. Standard early era patterning with the top banner, the left banner and an image in the middle. Standard deluxe edition spine, and as I mentioned a few times, you can see there's a very subtle kind of diagonal hatching to this. So it all lines up on the shelf with all the others. Standard background, love the picture, and there we are. Let's have a look inside this particular edition. As I said, I didn't read this and we'll talk about why in just a moment, but here we have the blurb. Then we have the back blurb. Let's look at the cover. We have the standard Exo Manowar blocking, which is very cool. And then we have the standard spine blocking, and again, Deluxe Edition 3. And we've got a clean back there. In terms of end leaves, we've got plain black matte pages. And in terms of the usual hardcover quality, this is bound extremely well. As you can hear, it's slightly creaky, but bound extremely well. Thick glossy pages, sewn binding. Yeah, great comic. Exo Manowar Book 3, in which it talks about the contents. We have Prelude to Armor Hunters, which is issues 23, 24, 25. And then we have the Armor Hunters itself, which is Exo Manowar up to Exo Manowar 29, and also Armor Hunters issue 1 to 4. And then it's got some credits there. So you can see it's got the standard insert there, Prelude to Armor Hunters. I'm going to flick through this really quickly, but it's yeah, your standard deluxe edition hardcover. Very solid art, very solid storytelling. Yeah, I'll talk about it more in a second when we get to the actual deluxe edition we're talking about today. But as per normal, I just wanted to show you what the actual deluxe edition quality is if you were to be purchasing this. Yeah. So I have this because I bought it in error. I bought it because I get very excited by Valiant Deluxe Editions, and I was collecting the entire set. And as you will know from my intro video, I own the entire set. And so as a result, I just bought this because it was volume 3, and Exo Manowar goes up to volume 5. So as I recall, I actually just bought volumes 1 to 5 in one single go. I think I got it as an eBay lot. I think I got it as reasonably good value. This volume 3 is available only on the aftermarket. It's out of print and has been out of print for a while. And yeah, it's worth quite a bit of money. Alright, and that's all I wanted to show you. Then you've got quite a lot of extra features. You've got a whole load of extra features at the back there. Usual artwork, DVD style commentary, pencil sketches, and script breakdowns. Okay, so I've shown you that briefly, but as I said, I have not read that, and the reason I have not read that is because as it transpired, and this is sort of my own fault, is that it's an absolutely unnecessary double dip to have purchased this, because all the issues included in this are actually also included in this. So let's get the volume 3 out of the way. This is what I read this week. This is the Valiant Armor Hunters Deluxe Edition. No number, so it's just called that. Standard size layout, interesting image on the cover. You'll find out more about this character later on. And then you've got a simple spine, Armor Hunters, and then a standardized back. This is one of the thickest Valiant Deluxe Editions. This is up there with something like Divinity. So it collects something like 15 issues. It's quite a beast. We've got this inside French flap. I'm not sure why there's a little white stripe in it here. I don't know if that's a printing defect or is that something you have on your hardcovers. If you're reading this, let me know. And then on the back here, we don't have a little defective white stripe. Instead, we just have the creators as standard. So let's pop off the dust jacket, as we always do, and let's have a look at the cover. What we have here is Armor Hunters. That's the cover. It's got the logo, very faint kind of claw marks or scratch marks through the logo. Very cool. Can you see that? Yeah, it's a little bit like Wolverine attacked it. Very, very small Lego Wolverine. Anyway, what we have here is Armour Hunters. This is the spine. Apologies, it's still a bit gloomy here in the UK at the moment. And then a nice clean back. Blue end pages. Alright, and like I say, very well put together, really well bound, and with the usual glossy high quality paper. So let's have a look at what is in this. So what we have here is the normal front cover. And then we've got the content. So the content is split into 6 sections. We have Prelude, Quarry, Hunt, Trap, Kill, and Aftermath. Now, I'm going to zoom in, or I'm going to hold it up. A very cheap way of zooming in. So you can have a look at the issues. So Prelude has Exo Manowar 23, 24, 25. I think it's available as its own trade paperback called Prelude to Armour Wars. But then the rest of the issues interweave the Armour Hunters 4-issue miniseries, 4 issues from the ongoing Unity series, issues from Exo Manowar, as well as 2 small miniseries, which are 3 issues apiece, which is Armour Hunters Bloodshot and Armour Hunters Harbinger. So looking at it, Quarry has those issues there, Armour Hunters 1, Unity 8, Exo 26. Hunt then has Armour Hunters 2, Unity 9, the Bloodshot number 1, the Harbinger number 1, and Exo 27. Trap has Armour Hunters 3, Bloodshot 2, Bloodshot 3. I will point out here, with Trap, I think this is one of the very, very few mismappings that I've seen in a Valiant Deluxe hardcover, because when I was reading it, it occurred to me after I was reading the Bloodshot issue 2 and 3, that Armour Hunters 3 actually probably should be set after the 2 Bloodshot issues. So if you're reading this in single issues, that's my pro tip to you. Read Armour Hunters Bloodshot 2 and 3 before reading Armour Hunters 3. Then we have Unity 10, the Harbinger 2, Exo 28, and then the final bit we've got Armour Hunters Harbinger 3, Unity 11, Armour Hunters 4, and then Aftermath is Exo Manowar 29 and Armour Hunters Aftermath 1. I will point out that the mini-series for Harbinger and Bloodshot that intersect with Armour Hunters are really hard to find as single issues. I've actually never seen them anywhere, so I think they're only available collected in this in this oversized hardcover. I don't know how easy they are to get as trade paperbacks or single issues. And I'm pretty well connected. Like I've said a few times, a friend of mine owns a comic shop, so if I can't find something, it's pretty hard to find. Okay, let's jump into it and have a look at the mapping here. So this is the standard opening page. It's got the first 3 issues there and the covers thereof as we jump into it. So now, unlike with the previous hardcover we were just looking at, I will talk a little bit about the storyline. So the storyline here is about the premise of an alien race out there in space, not divine. This is someone new who we haven't seen, so this is a member of them, for example, who have made it their purpose to hunt down and destroy all the different Exo Manowars that exist, or rather Manowar armors that exist in the universe. So it's interesting that it provides a bit more backstory to the Manowar armor. This is the character Gingr. So in my head I call him Gingr, but maybe it's meant to be pronounced Ginger. He is an important character we'll come back to in just a second. And then these are the other aliens that are part of the Armour Hunter group that are trying to kill the different Manowar armors. It still doesn't provide much background in terms of what the Manowar armor is, where it came from, what its provenance is, and the weakness or the vulnerability that the armor has, which the Armour Hunters exploit, is a little bit odd, to be honest. I don't know if there's some kind of biblical metaphor being used there, or if it's just some kind of weird thing that they explain much later, but it does seem a bit odd. Anyway, the Armour Hunters come to Earth, they attack Earth, everyone gets involved, from Bloodshot to the Harbingers to Ninjak to basically everyone. It's pretty epic, all things considered. As a storyline, this is great. It was really good fun. I really enjoyed it. This was a major Valiant event. And unlike Valiant events, for example, like Harbinger Wars, which remained relatively small scale, this is massive in scale. This is a huge kind of global, even extra global kind of event with aliens and spaceships, and covers the entire planet, and it's just really interesting. We've got Gilla, the Eternal Warrior. Like I say, everyone's involved in this at this point. Having said that, you don't really need to know a huge amount about everyone else. It definitely helped for me to have read all the Harbinger comics before I read this, as well as having read all the Bloodshot comics before I read this. In terms of Bloodshot, I will point out that this event answers the question that I had during my Bloodshot run, which was between Bloodshot Deluxe Edition 2 and the Valiant Deluxe Edition. Bloodshot basically starts working for MI6. And I remember saying at the time, when does that happen? What did I miss? This is the event in which Bloodshot gets recruited by MI6. And so I guess subsequent to this, if you're reading Bloodshot, you would then read The Valiant and then Bloodshot Reborn, Volume 1. Yeah, so that's worth keeping in mind. The rest of it, like, again, it's got Ninjak and Eternal Warrior you haven't really read anywhere else, but I've seen them featured in various things, and I've got some idea of who they are and what they do, and it was a completely explicable read. I didn't feel lost or left behind at any stage, and it also hinted at other things that I've kind of seen elsewhere. So, for example, this character, Jinjiar, or Ginger, or whatever their name is, I saw them cameoed a couple of times, I think, in Faith in the Future Force, and there have been a couple of issues where you've seen Exo Man of War and then this guy's been in the background, so I was like, alright, that's where this guy comes from. Otherwise, yeah, it's a really interesting Bloodshot story, really interesting Harbinger story. The artwork is really solid. The Armor Hunter's premise is very solid. These Armor Hunters coming and hunting out the armors and so on. A lot of foreshadowing if there's not very much explanation. So there's a lot of foreshadowing about how dangerous the armor is and the problem it can cause on a galactic scale and the other armors and the dangers that they pose. And I get that. I just really hope that there's still more to come, that it carries on sort of explaining and exploring this mythos of the armor and the armor's origin. That would be really useful and really interesting to see. In terms of as an Exo story, it's great. Arik is a really great character. It's really interesting to kind of see how they continue to characterize him. Again, my general one singular complaint about Exo Manowar remains, which is that the armor has a very ill-defined skill set and seems to be able to kind of just do anything that Arik needs it to. And so it's not hasn't got defined parameters and limitations. Not, for example, in the same way that Bloodshot has, or that Livewire has, or things like that. But, it's a minor gripe. Ultimately, you just get on board with him being Thor in an Iron Man suit, and it is pretty cool. This issue is very clever, where there's no dialogue, it's all kind of communication via emojis. So really well put together. Yeah, I don't really know what else to add on this, other than it's highly recommended, very enjoyable. This is the right place to read it within my Exo Manowar reading arc. And as I say, it does kind of fill in a couple of gaps in terms of what happens with Bloodshot. Also, it'd be very hard to read this and understand the various characters and Harbingers that are in it without having read at least some of the preceding Harbinger issues up to probably Harbinger Wars and maybe just before Generation Zero. Anyway, that's the deluxe edition. This is massive, genuinely, this is thicker than a Snicker. We even got Faith coming back into it. Yeah, it was a huge event. It took me about 2.5 hours to read, but it was really enjoyable. It was really interesting, and I don't have sort of any criticisms of it. This is great. I'm really glad I have it in my collection. And again, Valiant are coming out strong. So, as I've said, I guess kind of with all the different threads I've been reading through, with Harbinger, started off a bit weak, got really good. Bloodshot started off a bit weak, got really good. And Exo started off kind of predictable, but now it's getting to a really exciting and interesting point. I guess the one thing I would say, if any of you have read Top Cow comics, or you've watched other bits of my channel, and you've seen that, for example, I've done a read through of all the Top Cow comics. The one thing I'll say, and maybe this is just me, is this reminded me a little bit of the final issue of the short-lived series Spirit of the Tao, done by Top Cow Comics in the late 90s. With this idea of armor hunters coming to Earth and deciding to try and wipe out the Earth or wipe out the armor and so on. I don't know, maybe that's just me. Comment down below if you've actually read Spirit of the Tao. Yeah, maybe it's just me sort of clutching at straws. But yeah, and here we have it. Okay, that's the final page. And then we've got some cool design stuff. We've got some great sort of artwork behind the scenes. It's not quite the same special features as was in Exo Volume 3, but the differences aren't substantial enough that I'm going to hang on to Exo Volume 3, I think. So let me just sit the cover back on this, and then let's have another look at both of them. So this puts me in a weird position where I've got Armor Hunters, but I've erroneously purchased Exo Manowar Deluxe Edition 3, and so as a result, I guess what I need to do is to sell that, which I'm probably going to do on eBay or something. On the aftermarket, it goes for quite a pretty penny. I think it goes for something like easily double or triple retail. So I'll be keeping this and probably selling this, or maybe I should do a giveaway on my channel. I don't know, I don't think I have enough subscribers. My channel is not very popular at all, so it would seem a bit moot to do a giveaway. But anyway, that is what we read this week. Cool. So what next? Well, next week's episode, I was going to read Deluxe Edition 4, which I do have, but I've decided to mix it up a little bit, do something slightly different. I am going to read Unity Deluxe Edition 1. Now, we've already read 4 issues of Unity in the previous Exo Manowar Deluxe Edition, and we read a further 4 issues of Unity within the Armor Hunters event as well. However, there is still some of that Deluxe Edition which hasn't been collected in either of those two, so I'm going to read it by itself, see what it looks like, see how it feels, and I'll do a review of it next week. Until then, thanks very much for watching. As always, like, comment, subscribe, as always, support, and yeah, until next time.
All right, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, please follow me on Twitter at @IamThomasJudge, where I will post a daily review of whatever comics I've been reading. You can get an idea of what I'm up to on the channel. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon.com and checking out my prose novel about superheroes. It's a completely original piece of work. The first episode in it is called Arrivals, and the series as a whole is called No Gods or Kings. You can find an excerpt of that on my website, nogodsorkings.com. Until next time, everybody, stay classy.